Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And tonight, my guest he's a filmmaker, an editor, a writer, Taylor Doose. How's it going, Taylor?
Hey, how's it going, Robin? I'm doing well.
Hey, thanks for coming out of your busy schedule to come on to the show tonight.
Oh, man, busy is an understatement right now. I have always got time to talk to people and talk about movies, but man, it has been a heck of a week already, and it's just Monday. So.
I know, damn, those weekends go by quick.
Right? I don't even know what a weekend is. You know, I work 24/7, it feels like. So it's like most of the time people are like, oh, what day do you have off? I'm like, day off?
You're like, what's a day off? I'm too busy making film what I love.
Well, that's the thing is because, you know, I work the day job, got to keep the bills paid. And then it's like when I'm not doing that, I'm working on stuff for myself, or working on stuff for my friends. And it's like, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I've got plenty of time.
Before you got into filmmaking, you lived a gypsy lifestyle. What was it like to be a gypsy?
Oh my gosh, you know, it's one of those that when you're in the middle of it, you're just kind of nomadic, don't really have a place to call home, and you're moving all over wherever the wind takes you, and it's so much fun, and it's so great. You're meeting all these different people and going on all these different adventures, and then, like, reality starts to hit, and you do that for a couple of years, and you're just like, I just want to have a bed and a place to call home, and a place where it's at the end of the night, I'm not sitting there going, hey, who's got a spare couch I can crash on tonight before I get back on the road? So, you know, I miss it at times, but then, like, I'll go travel through conventions or film festivals, and it's like, yeah, I like having a stable home life that I can share it again.
Hey, that's good. Your film is going to be shown at a Whorehound Film Festival next weekend. That's a great film festival. Everybody from all around shows their horror films and their horror shorts. It's a great, film festival. I love Whorehound. I cover it every year. Let's talk about your WareWolf horror short film, which I love werewolves. It's called In the Path of the Shadows. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so In the Path of Shadows kind of started as a brainchild, like all of these things do, of, you know, I haven't seen a good werewolf movie in a long time. Like, I love werewolf movies, and I feel like the original idea kind of came when The Walking Dead was starting to gain popularity, and the zombies were taking over everything. And I felt like that was right on the heels of the Twilight vampire craze. And I was like, okay, like, we've had our vampires, we've had our zombies, like, Frankenstein's always in the background. When do we get our werewolf movies? And, you know, they're there, but they're just not as, like, desaturated. There's not as much saturation with werewolf movies. So, you know, I sat down, I'm like, I'm going to write my version of a werewolf movie. And I got done with it, and I think it was about 65, 70 pages at that point. And I said, this is really cool, but I need an opening that's really going to grab the audience and pull them into the whole, like, rest of the story. And so I wrote this cold opening that had nothing to do with the rest of the movie whatsoever, about this girl that's, like, in the woods being hunted, and, you know, there's this crazy guy with a shotgun, and then there's a werewolf attack out of nowhere, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I, like, put it in the script, and then I started reading the rest of the script. It's like, the rest of the script is awful compared to the beginning of this movie. And then I was like, well, hell, why can't I just see where the rest of this movie wants to go? So I ended up taking the cold open from the original concept, totally throwing out the whole rest of the script and kind of starting from ground zero. And out of that became a whole feature film that we're hoping to shoot this year is the plan, but, you know, to try and gain some interest and gain some excitement and try and get some money behind it, we decided last year to go out and shoot a little 3-minute proof of concept as, like, this is going to be the tone, the feeling, kind of what we could do with 2 nickels rubbed together and a couple nights out in the woods, and we just kind of threw it out. And the whole point of it, I was just going to use as, like, a Kickstarter campaign type thing. And I started showing it to some friends. They were like, this is really good. you should try submitting this to some festivals. And I was just like, you know, I would, but that's not really what it's for. And you know, as always, my wife, being the smarter of the two of us, is like, why don't you just try for like the best film festivals you can? Like, shoot for the top dog for the horror world. Worst case scenario, you don't get into any of them. Use it for its intended purpose and go from there. And I'm like, all right. And, you know, next thing I know, we're getting all this attention and all these film festivals are like, we love it. Bring it in. So, you know, Horror Hounds actually, hopefully its last stop is the short, and then next year we can bring it out as the feature. So,
yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I love how you added some like teas and Easter eggs, like a Red Riding Hood premise. You know, it's like,
yeah,
what if Red Riding Hood is an adult now? You know, and she's in the same scenario, you know, running for her life, and of course there's a wolf nearby. And the thing that really got me in that short film was that curveball twist towards the end, because I didn't see that coming. I'm sitting there scratching my head going, you know, what the fuck, you know? And then you see like these cult guys. One has like this red hood robe, and I go, has to be going somewhere. It has kind of like a little evil Red Riding Hood vibe.
Yeah. That's exactly what we were going for. Is, you know, it's so hard with 3 minutes to like keep the audience's attention, but also like kind of leave those breadcrumbs. I can talk. I promise. I can talk. So we can kind of leave those breadcrumbs to, you know, add Hansel and Gretel into our whole fairy tale analogy, and you know, just keep the audience engaged, even just for those 3 minutes. Because my thing is with shorts especially is I want to hook the audience. But I don't want to just give them everything in those 3 minutes. I want to hook them, entertain them, and at the end of it, make them go, where's the rest? I want to see the rest of it. Because you wouldn't believe how many shorts I've seen where it's just like, either they hook me, and I'm just like, well, okay, you hooked me, and then what? Like, where are we going from here? Or they just never hook me, and like, I don't care to see where this is going. So, yeah, the short film is definitely its own beast that I tried really hard to, you know, entertain you, give you a full story, but also make you go like, oh, there's a lot more to this world that I'm excited to explore.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to definitely see it again at Whorehound because I want to see the audience reactions. I'm going to see the short, and I'm just going to be sitting there smiling because I know everybody's going to like it, and I'm going to be like, whoa, and then you know I'm going to have to tell you what the audience thought.
You know, that's always the best part is I always feel like such a weirdo at these film festivals because I'm that guy in the front row who's like enjoying everybody's short. Then mine comes up and I'll just like turn my chair around and face the audience and like, I've seen this thing. I want to see how everybody else reacts to it.
So, where was this filmed at? What woods where you filmed it at? It was pretty creepy looking woods when you filmed it at night.
Yeah, we actually ended up filming a little bit outside of Evanston, Wyoming. We went on this mad dash because I live in Los Angeles, and filming here is kind of a nightmare sometimes because everybody wants to get paid and everybody wants to do it the right way. And, you know, I had some friends that were not too far from there, and I was like, hey, if I, like, get an Airbnb, put everybody up for the weekend, we'll go and have a party in the woods, essentially, all day, and then at night we'll go make a movie. Would anybody be interested? And I had all my friends were like, yeah, of course. Like, that's like so much fun. So, yeah, we went up to Wyoming and just, you know, made a whole weekend of it and roasted marshmallows and had a great time and just went and killed people with werewolves.
Yeah, I loved the werewolf shot. Who created the werewolf with the special effects?
Oh, you know, I wish I could remember his name. It was one of those things where it was. I have a makeup guy I work with all the time. I've been working with for years, and he was so excited to design like a custom werewolf, and right before he was going to get started, there was some personal stuff that came up, and we just had to scramble at the last second and ended up just finding like a Halloween mask from this guy on Etsy. And I'm just like, this is amazing. This will work perfect for what I need it for. So like 2 weeks from now, I just reach out to him and I'm like, I'm so sorry. How fast can I get this in my hands from you? Like, I'll expedite shipping. Like, but yeah, I have to get his name because it is such incredible work.
Yeah, I like that. Etsy. Let's just go to Etsy.
That's what I love about the internet is you can find literally anything you're looking for if you can just dig hard enough.
I can't wait for you to do it into a future film. I kind of have a feeling you were going to go that way, and I like to see how the story's going to play out with our final girl heroine.
Yeah, that was the whole thing. Is this my original concept for this is kind of telling people, they're like, "What's your pitch? What's your log line?" I'm like, my idea is like, what happens to the final girl after the credits roll? Like, what's living as Laurie Strode after Michael Myers is gone? Like?
Yeah.
And like, I would kind of want to explore that world of like, okay, we've seen this whole crazy thing happen. Now let's see like what happens a year later when you're trying to get back to normal life and you've got this thing haunting you forever.
Oh yeah, definitely. And then another film you did, I haven't got a chance to check it out, but it had my attention. You did a film called Lilith. What was that about?
Mm-hmm. So Lilith was one of those. It started as a short film and kept growing as our ambitions kept growing. It essentially, like the short version is, this guy finds a baby abandoned in the middle of nowhere and goes to a Catholic priest and says, like, I'm looking for guidance. I found this baby. I don't know what to do. And the priest starts counseling him, and he's like, we have to do what's right. Like, there's authorities, there's police, there are people that'll help you take care of this baby. And, eventually the guy starts telling him, like, oh, no, like, there's more to this than just, like, finding out who can help me. Like, I believe that God intentionally gave me this baby because my wife and I have been trying for years to have a child and couldn't, and this is a gift. But the problem is I'm pretty sure it's possessed by a demon, so I need you to do an exorcism on it. And needless to say, things do not go well for anybody by the end of that one.
I bet that was wild. Especially the baby part. I mean, that's just...
Oh, yeah.
I like, crazy short films like that. You don't know where it's going, and, it's like, oh, no, you're going to have a little demonic baby in it, so where's it going to go from there, And it just keeps you, like, writing. Because I like a good film where it's going to keep my attention and where I can just follow the story and and stuff, and especially like the music and scores in films. That really helps out a lot too. Yeah,
that was Lilith kind of got out of control, and by the end of the day, that one's almost 40 minutes. And the biggest compliment I always get from people, because a short to me, like, if you can keep it under 5 minutes, you're golden.
Yeah.
Unless you really have a story to tell. And with Lilith, it got to the point of, like, 40 minutes was as much as I could trim it back. And I'm just like, I guess it's going to be a really long short. And 99% of people that watch it, their first thing they say to me is, wait, how long was that? And I'm like, it's about 40 minutes. And they're like, it felt like 15. I'm like, goal, we did it. Like, if I can keep your attention for that long and it doesn't feel that long, you're not checking your watch the whole time, I feel like I've crossed and jumped over one hurdle for sure. And then, like, if you like it, that's even better, but at least you weren't bored.
That's good, because you were doing your job and the audience loved it. Like your, Lace film and Path of the Shadows. I thought the same thing too, and I thought it was way too short. I did, because I wanted more, because I love a good werewolf film. I really do. There's people that like vampires, zombies, and all that. I mean, those are cool to watch, but I like a classic werewolf or something original that you can do with a werewolf. I think werewolves in films and all that, and how you can portray it or write it, it's just there's just like something very special and phenomenal about a werewolf.
Well, to me, werewolves are always interesting because like with a vampire, you're actively aware that you're a vampire. Even if you're trying to fight the vampiric feelings, like you're a vampire. Like if you're a zombie, you're not aware anymore. You're just a corpse walking around. With a werewolf, it's like there's this thing that is literally inside of you that once it's out, you are out of control. Like you are not like fighting these urges. You weren't at all there. But you have to deal with all the consequences of what happened and what you did. And that's the stuff I'm just like, oh, why haven't we explored this more of the like, you're the one that did these actions, but were you? Like,
I love it. So, what other projects are you doing as well besides showing this phenomenal film at the film festivals?
Oh my gosh, this is getting the feature off the ground is, you know, number one. We're getting ready to do an Indiegogo campaign in the next couple weeks and wrapping up casting. But other than that, I've got a couple scripts in the pipeline I've been working on and, you know, helping some friends with some projects. I'm starting up a podcast and, oh man, the day job keeps me busy. Just 1,000 irons in the fire. I mean, you know how it is. Like, once you get a creative moving, that's harder to stop than a boulder rolling after Indiana Jones.
and you missed the artifact.
Exactly. That's the problem, is that you get down the hill and you're like, oh, I beat the boulder. And then you look in your bag, you're like, crap.
So, what type of podcast you gonna thinking about doing?
You know, one of my friends and I just started this concept of looking at the way social media and media in general has kind of shaped us as people.
Yeah.
So each episode we kind of want to look at, like, take just a subject and be like, you know, this is like art. Like, we'll just do a broad spectrum of art and be like, here are all the movies that have helped inform me as to what art is in my life. And here's all the music that's helped actually inform what art is. And then talk about actual, like, paintings and traditional art. And, you know, even things like how graffiti and street art is becoming so prevalent. And it's like, just kind of looking at the lens of media and how that's helped shape a generation.
That'd be kind of cool. I'm interested. I would definitely listen. I want you to talk about the graffiti because, you know, there's that takes a lot of talent and years to really master that craft of graffiti. I mean, everywhere you go, you see some great graffiti artists, and then you see some crazy graffiti, of course, on train cars.
Yeah. No, that's stuff. I've had friends that are in that world, and I'm like, for you to take like a can of spray paint and make these works of art that rival the Mona Lisa, in my opinion, are just incredible.
Yeah, it's crazy. I wonder how some of them do it, because when you like drive under like a overpass, they have it right there. How did they do it without falling off and hurting themselves? I always wanted to figure that out.
Oh, it's insane.
The other day I was going to work and I saw a train go by and somebody did graffiti art on the train car, and it was Magneto from the X-Men.
That's awesome. That's so cool. I love it.
So this sounds like an interesting podcast too. So will you also be talking, like you said, more about like horror as well? You know, dissecting the film.
You know, it's funny because when you're a horror filmmaker, like a horror person in general, a lot of people think that's like all you do. Yeah. And I would tell people, I'm like, you know, I can write and direct romantic comedies. I can write and direct dramas. I can write and direct anything, because to me a story is a story is a story. But when I'm sitting down and writing, I have tried hundreds of times. I'm like, all right, boy meets girl. Boy falls in love with girl. Girl gets her head ripped off. I'm like, oh, this isn't supposed to be horror. But that's just who I am deep inside. So I would be shocked if horror did not come up more often than not, because, you know, us horror people, like, it's in our blood and we cannot escape it. Nor do we want to.
No, we don't. Now, let's talk about your wife. I mean, I kind of stalked you on social media a lot. It seems you and your wife have a lot of fun. So how supportive is she of your, filmmaking?
Oh my gosh. She is my number one fan in the best ways that she will help me to organize people. She will be first one on set feeding people. She will be the person that's like the biggest cheerleader. And she was actually in the Path of Shadows. She's the red cult leader person.
Really?
I woke up at 3 a.m. and I'm just like, hey, we need a couple extra bodies for this part. Will you just come down and help me? And she's like, yes, I will. I'm staying in my pajamas, but I'll come down and help you. But it's funny because she does not like horror whatsoever, so she's never even seen most of my projects. Like, she'll be there when I'm making them as first one to be supporting me all the way through to the end, but to watch them, it's like, no thank you, I'm fine.
So she doesn't like horror. Is there a movie that you made her sit down with you to watch, a certain horror film?
You know, it's funny. Right after we moved to L.A., she was so excited. She surprised me one afternoon. She's like, I got tickets. There's this theater down the road that's showing a 35 millimeter print of The Shining.
Yes!
And so I got tickets for us, and we're going to go. And I'm like, okay, this is great. About halfway through, she just leans over. And she's like, I've never seen this movie before. I thought I had. I haven't. I think I'm going to go out in the lobby for a little bit. This is a little scary for me. So I've learned my lesson quickly. Like, you know, if it's kind of on the funny side, like things like Sleepaway Camp, she loves stuff like that. Silent Night, Deadly Night, like campy 80s horror, she can get behind. But if it's like a Hereditary or like Saw, anything of that that's like too realistic, she's super out on. She's like, no thank you.
Hey, at least she's a good sport about it. At least she likes some. That's good. You know, I right now I'd give her a high five. She's a true trooper. You found yourself a good woman.
Oh, you're telling me. We just passed our 10 years together, and every day I just say to her, I'm like, I appreciate that you keep letting me just go down these crazy journeys and follow this insane dream of mine, and are always there to support me every step of the way, because any sane person would have left a long time ago.
Probably like, what's down in the basement? You don't have anything crazy down there. You're not going to lock me up and throw some lotion down there, are you?
Right? That's one thing. She had to start getting used to having like gremlins and Michael Myers masks and werewolf heads all over the house, and she's just like, okay, we'll give you a corner of the house. The rest of the house is going to look really nice and live live love and all of that, like flowers and stuff, and then there's your corner that we just don't talk about.
That's pretty wild. I can picture you having like a visitor over or something. They're like, ooh, this is a nice house. And then you go to the corner to see your horror collection. I love talking to people that have phenomenal horror collections too. And they'll be like, this is an interesting section. And you're sitting there going, where's our guest at? Oh, there he is. He's admiring my horror collection.
Yep. That's how it goes a lot of times. Is people are just like, oh, this is nice. And they'll spot something that's like totally out of the blue. And just like, okay, you've got a bloody baby over there. Cool. That makes all the sense in the world.
Hey, well, at least it's not a bloody Cabbage Patch Kid.
Right? Could be much worse.
Exactly.
Maybe I have to worry about my mental stability.
Hey, you know, that's why I love talking to fellow, you know, horror fans, too. I mean, me, Joe Bob Briggs, he messed up my brain, man. He's made me watch some messed up stuff I shouldn't even be watching. And when I watch it, I like it. And then after I'm done, I'm like, I must be sick in the head.
I know, I do that. I went and saw the new Scream
Yeah.
weekend. And I'm like sitting there just cackling, laughing at some of these kill moments. And the rest of the audience is just like, what is wrong with this person? I'm like, oh, we didn't all get the memo that this is like supposed to be fun and enjoyable. And
Yeah, that was like me when I went and saw Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. There was a scene where Pooh was kind of feeling a little sorry for Christopher Robin, but he wasn't. And he started crying honey through his eyes. And I started laughing. I thought that was so funny. And the people in the audience were looking at me going, why are you laughing at that? I've never seen Winnie the Pooh in a horror film crying honey out of his eyes.
Right? I don't know. I guess if you're not having fun with this stuff, that's when you got to worry. 'Cause one thing I love about horror people is, like, you know, on the outside, they're very scary looking, but on the inside, I have never had more fun or laughed harder than with horror people.
Amen to that. So where can everybody find you on social media and also see when you're, what are your next projects?
Yeah, if you kind of just Google me, you'll find me easy enough. Most of the things through either Doose or Taylor Doose, like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all those fun social medias. I don't Twitter at all, so you can reach out, but I will never, ever, ever see it. But, you know, Instagram's usually the easiest place to find me, and there's an In the Path of Shadows has its own Instagram page, and you can follow us there to keep up and watch for the Indiegogo launching in a couple of weeks, and we'll have some fun.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on and having fun with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I know, me too. Everybody have a great evening.